Hey everybody, Sandra Ainsworth. Welcome to the video. Great to have you along watching this one today. I haven't done one of these for absolutely ages. I'm going to do a little head-to-head, and we're going to do it between the new Ping G440 Iron and the club that it took over from, the incredibly successful Ping G430. So we're going to go head-to-head, test the performance, see what the benefits are, talk to you about what they've changed a little bit, hit some shots, and then we can move on from there. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. So here we go, everybody, a little head-to-head. Before we do the interesting hitting bit, we've got to talk a little bit about the specs. What Ping have changed here between the 440 and the 430. Remember, Ping are on 2-year product cycles, which is great from my perspective, where everyone else tends to be on 1-year cycles. So a 2-year cycle really gives us a good shout at maximising the sales and the length, the time span of how long that club can be productive for. So we've got G430, G440. Let's talk a little bit about specs. You'll have to forgive me referring to my little notes here because there's a lot to remember. I get a lot of people calling me up when new models come up and they say, Andrew, I've got the 430 which you sold me 18 months ago and the 440's come out. Is it worth me changing to the new model? And the honest answer to that is most of the time, no. I think if you go back 2-3 generations, that's when you start to see a difference in the performance, certainly in woods and irons and anything else. But today I just want to show you what Ping have changed and how the 440 may differ or be better or worse than the 430. So these specs I'm going to give you are all for 7 irons. Okay, so G430 length is 37 inches long on the 7 iron, and on the 440 it's 37 inches. We'll put little graphics up here so that you can see it as we go, because there's a lot to remember. It's the same length. Loft, you all know what loft is, I'm sure, but loft is this angle here, and obviously as the clubs get longer, the loft becomes lower, so a 4 iron is going to have less loft than a 7, and a wedge will have more loft than a 7 iron. So loft on the 7 iron, 29 degrees on the 430, 29 degrees on the 440. The lie angle. What's lie angle? Lie is the way that the club sits. Does it sit too upright? Does it sit too flat? So the lie angle on the G437 iron was 63 degrees, and the lie angle on the G440 is 62 degrees. There's been a little tweak there. Ping will have looked at the science and engineering behind that to make that decision. Offset. Here we go. More techie stuff here. Offsetting is the angle formed between the front of the hosel and the leading edge of the club. So it's this angle here. You can see how the leading edge of the club just sits back a little bit from the hosel. And why do we have offsetting on irons? It's to help us hit the ball a little bit straighter. If you have clubs with 0 offset, it's quite hard to square the club face up. As you go into more bladed irons, things like Mizunos and Muras and all sorts of other clubs, Titleist, all sorts of makes, Ping blueprint irons, you tend to get less offset. The elite players and pros and really low handicap golfers, some of them like to have clubs with less offset so that they can maneuver the ball around a little bit. Anyway, the measurement on the G430 offset was 0.18 inches, and I'll give you a guess as to what it is on the G440. 0.18 inches. There's definitely a theme here. Bounce. Here's another misunderstood term. Bounce angle, okay, is from the highest point of the club, okay, to the trailing edge. So from the front edge, if you like, back to the lowest point of the club. That's the bounce angle. And the bounce angle on a 7 iron is 9 degrees of bounce. Okay. So far, not a lot's changed, has it? Bar 1 degree on the lie angles. This is where there has been a little bit of difference. In the 4, 5 and 6 iron, they've made them in the G430 1/4 of an inch longer than in the G430. Lofts are the same at 22 degrees. So 5 iron length in G440, 38.5 degrees. Length in the 430, 38.25. 1/4 of an inch difference, and Ping have done this in the 4, 5 and 6 to get more consistent gaps, slightly higher ball launch to get the ball to stop. So there we are. Now, we're going to go to the beauty contest bit here. Let's look at the clubs first of all from behind so we can look at the back of the club. G440 on the top of your picture, as you can see, G430 at the bottom. Ignore the writing on the back. These are my fitting clubs. From the back here, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I do think the 440 wins that contest from the backside looking on. The nice little bit of shiny chrome on it, just looks a little bit cleaner with the badge in the back there. I mean, not to say that the 430 was an ugly club, it wasn't. As we look down from above, not a lot in it here as I look down from above here. Possibly, and this is sometimes where we get optical illusions, that the sole on the 440 looks a little bit thinner. And as we go to the head-on view here, the blade length here, again on the 440, just looks a little bit smaller and a little bit more compact in the toe. And as we look down from above, we've got the 440 over on the right-hand side, 430 on the left. The top edge, the leading edge, just looks a little bit thinner. And I say the toe of the club on the 440 for me just looks a little bit more compact, a little bit more sort of player's iron-like, but we're getting all the forgiveness. So I think the 440 on looks definitely wins the contest, but will it win on performance? Let's go and hit some. Okay, here comes the tricky bit for me. I've always said this when I'm doing head-to-heads. The problem with doing a head-to-head is trying to get a number of swings which are consistently the same between one club and the next. Now, the only way you can really do this is, I suppose, you get a tour pro in here who can hit the ball obviously a lot better than I can and a lot more consistently. That might work, but I don't have any tour pros on speed dial who could do that. The robots out there are probably the most efficient way of doing it because you can set everything up the same and then you get the same strike every time. That's the only scientific way I think you could do this, because as humans we have human error. So the only way I can do this is hit a number of shots. And I know people say you've got to hit, a lot of shots to get the right data. This test is not the top scientific data. This is just to give you a little bit of an idea of what might be the difference. So I'm going to attempt to hit a number of shots of each club. If we get any missed strikes, which is entirely possible, then I'll delete those and I'll try and be as fair as possible to get 4, 5, 6 shots which I feel are similar strikes, similar club speeds. Then we can get GC2 to do a little comparison and then we can see what the numbers are. So I'm going to go G430 first. I am using for this test exactly the same shaft, so that makes it fair. I've got NS Pro Modus 105 in stiff, standard length, red dot in both of these, that's my lie angle. And we're using Mizuno premium balls on the deck. I'm going to just hit a number of shots here. I'm not going to be making too much comments. I'm not going to be looking at individual numbers here. There will be some good shots, there'll be some bad shots, and I'll show you what I'm going to do at the end to kind of wheedle these out. So, yeah, sit back and watch me hit some good ones and bad ones. I'll just make little comments after I hit each shot to tell you if I think that's a good strike or a bad strike or an average strike. That was a good strike. We're taking that. We're not going to look at specific numbers just yet. I want to get at least 4, 5, 6 shots away here. G430, great club. Again, we'll take that. That is playable. Just about hanging on to right edge, but strike was good. And I'm looking for sort of consistency here in club speeds and ball speeds. I should be hovering around that 85-ish mark. Oh man, there's a bad one. That'll be coming out. The old quick snap pull. Horrible swing. I'm leaving them in. I'm not cheating on this. I'm just going to leave them in. Okay, better. Back on it. It's probably the best of the bunch so far. Woo, goal shot. Where'd that come from? Had a big breakfast this morning. I need a big lunch after this. Oh, not bad as well. Thought I'd turn that one over. I'm almost impressed with that one. How many is that we've hit? 5 and 1 bad one. Could do with just one more good one. Okay, come on. This is quite difficult. Ooh, not great, but we're going to leave it in there as one of those not perfect strikes. But we don't want to base this just on the perfect shot, do we? We want to base it on real life. So I'm going to pause the video a little bit and then swap over. Right, I've swapped everything over, had a little drink of water, composed myself. I'll show you what I've done on the first batch of balls in a minute, but I've narrowed that down to those 4 pretty nice strikes. Now what I'm going to attempt to do now is get the same sort of numbers with the 440. There's no doubt in my eye that when I look down at the 440, it just fits my eye better. I love the shape of it. We'll give you little overheads obviously as we go, but we're back on it. Right, concentrate, Andrew. Yeah, good strike. That was comparative to some of the ones that I hit with 430. Yeah, we'll take that. God, I just need about another 3 or 4 of those, and we've done this. Oh, the demon shot's in there. Hate that shot. Hate that shot. Plagued me all my life, that one has. Okay, reset. Good reset. This feels different to the 430. I'm not quite sure what it is at the moment. That wasn't a bad strike, just hung on to the right edge. Wasn't great, but we'll take it. That was good. That was good. Take that one. Make sure I'm using the same. I'm using Mizuno balls here on the deck, and I'm just going to make sure I'm using the same ones. Yep. Happy with that. I think that's three decent ones I've got away. We'll go one more. Oh, just turning this over. Just getting too much release on it, attacking the ball from the inside. Stick with me. I'll try and stay behind this one a little bit more. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Right. I'm going to just have a little play around with the numbers, take the bad ones out, and then we'll do a little comparison and we'll see where we're at. Right, everybody, I've had a little play around with the numbers, got rid of the bad ones. I've got 4 decent strikes of each club, which I'm happy with. And as I said at the beginning of this test, this isn't fully scientific, but it'll give us a snapshot. So what we will do is we'll get GC2 has got a really good little app in it here, which will do a comparison for all that data. So we're going to take the G440 and then the G430. Tell it we hit premium balls. It'll take all that data and it will condense it down into this comparison. So 440 on top. Ball speed average on those shots there was 113.8, and on the 430, 114. Okay. Launch angle. Remember, I'm a low ball launcher. I don't hit the ball high. So a lot of you people watching this would launch this 7 iron, probably more like 20, 21. 17.1 degree launch angle on the 440 and 16.9 on the 430. Very interesting so far. As we come into the backspin rate, it's always interesting. 5.689 on the 440, 5.415 on the 430. Carry distance, 161 G440, 162 G430. Total estimated yardage 172 on the 440 and 174 on the G430. Wow, that was very interesting. Here's some of the individual numbers if you want to ponder over them, but you can see here there's nothing in it, folks. Absolutely nothing in it. I'm as honest as ever when it comes to this. If you've got 430 and you're thinking of changing to 440, I'd think very carefully. Definitely go and hit them. I'm not saying don't do it, but I think that test will tell you just how good 430 is and how good this is. Looks wise, for me, the 440 is the winner. But, you know, as I said at the beginning of the video, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and they're both fantastic clubs. I think Ping will be the first people. The ball speed there was interesting because, you know, they said they've put thinner faces on the 440, you know, which you would expect to increase ball speed, wouldn't you? You know, and if we look at the ball speeds here, you know, average again, that they're incredibly similar. You know, that was probably the best strike of all the tests. That was a 118 ball speed, the highest I got with 430, and the highest I got with 440 is just under 116. But that's all down to how you strike it. I don't think that's anything to do with, you know, design of the club sometimes. So it's a great club. It's going to be incredibly popular this year. But for me, the difference between the two is very minimal. It's just a shape thing. I couldn't quite pin down feel. I struggle with feel sometimes as to which club felt best. They felt quite similar. And again, it all depends where you're striking it on the club face. But I enjoyed doing the test. I hope you liked it as well. I'm sorry it wasn't the most scientific. I'm sure if you watch stuff like My Golf Spy and some of these more in-depth YouTube channels, you'll get a much more scientific explanation, but that was just for me, and I hope it's helped if you are making a decision. Price is always worth talking about. The price of the G430 Iron, which is still available, I was selling those in a 7-iron set, so let's say water pitching wedge is in 7 irons. I was selling those fully custom fitted in steel shafts at $899. The G440, which obviously is the replacement, in the same spec, you're looking at $999. So £100 more for set. Everything's gone up. So I don't think, you know, just under £1,000 is a bad price. It's a lot of money, I know, but these are premium irons. As always, if you're going to go down the route of buying clubs, especially Pings or anything else, go and get fitted. If you don't get fitted, wasting your time, in my opinion. You've got to get a fitting. Got to get the right shaft, got to get the right grip size, got to get the right lie angle. You need help. You need a professional fitter to help you guide that process. So don't be afraid to get fitted. A lot of custom fit, I don't charge for custom fits. Okay, some places will charge you for the fitting, but if you buy the set, they'll refund it back. So most of the time, you don't pay for that service, but it's definitely worth doing. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. I think I'm gonna have a cup of tea and a lie down after that. Post comments down below, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and if you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. It just helps. Great, thanks a lot. All the best. Bye for now.